Hello, I'm Adam and welcome back to The Salty Fish, where we invite you to join us on the journey of learning to live more sustainably and through God's provision. This morning Annette and I went to our local produce market in Camden, and if you can, I encourage you to check out if there's any produce markets in your area and go along and support them. Not only is it great for the local farmers to support them, but you also find that the produce that you buy there is a lot cheaper than what you buy in the mainstream supermarkets, and also a lot fresher as well. Now, before I cut all of this up, I just wanted to do a quick video for you to bring you back to where our journey first started. And as we said, that we started very much from the beginning, with limited resources and very limited knowledge as well. And this is one of those ideas that we got off YouTube. If you remember in our first video, we said that we had a lot of ideas off YouTube, a lot of ideas out there. Some of them we tried worked, some of them we tried and failed horribly. But this is one of those ideas that actually worked, and I wanted to share this with you. And I hope that in showing this to you, you're going to be encouraged that the journey isn't difficult to start. You can start by what you buy on a day-to-day basis or on a week-by-week basis. It's really that easy. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to grow fresh produce from items that you buy from the market or buy from the supermarket. Many people don't realise this, that when you buy produce from the supermarket, you're buying something that is designed to be a pick and come again. In other words, you can harvest the leaves off these plants while they're in the ground and leave them in there to grow more and more. In fact, a lettuce, for example, you can get 4 or 5 harvests from one lettuce while it is still in the ground. But I can guarantee you that, like we used to be, many of you would just buy a lettuce, chop off the leaves and discard the rest. For us, it was a realization that you can actually grow a new lettuce, or you can grow a new celery, you can grow new spring onions from store-bought produce just by following some very simple steps. Now, what I'm going to show you in today's video can be applied for many, many different vegetables. And because I don't have the best memory, we obviously have 3 examples here of our celery, our lettuce and our spring onion, but because my memory is not all that good at times, I'm going to put a list down the bottom of the screen here of the different types of vegetables that you can do this for. And if you've tried any yourself and it's not on this list or not what we're doing here today, please leave a comment down in the section below. We'd love to hear what you've tried and what's worked for you in the past. Now, to begin with, we're going to start with our lettuce here. And all I'm going to simply do is I'm going to grab my lettuce, I'm going to grab a sharp knife, and I'm going to cut the leaves off about 2 or 3 centimeters away from the stem. You can see we have the root ball on the bottom here. This is a hydroponically grown lettuce. You have the root ball down the bottom here. And where the roots stop and the plant begins, this part right here in the middle, is where what I call the root stem, or the plant stem, forms from that spot. So all we're going to do is going to grab our lettuce, we're going to put it on the cutting board, nice sharp knife, and we're going to cut those leaves about 2 or 3 centimeters above that line where the plant actually starts. Nice clean cut. Now I'm going to put these delicious leaves aside. We're going to wash them up for our dinner later on. And what we have left here is a stem. And we're just going to clean these leaves off the side here. And I'm just going to put that aside for a moment. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that in a moment. Same thing for our celery. Now the difference with the celery is sometimes you buy a lettuce and it's got the root system still attached. Sometimes you buy it and it's been completely cleaned off. It doesn't matter. It's still going to work for you, regardless of whether you've got the roots or not. As you can see, the celery doesn't have the roots on the bottom there either. But we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just going to grab our celery and say about 5 centimeters above the bottom of the plant. We're going to do a nice clean cut along the bottom of our celery. I'm going to put this aside as well. I'm going to clean that up and prepare that up as well. And you can see that we have a nice celery stem. Now I'm going to come right up close to the camera and I'm going to show you something that you may not have ever noticed with your celery plant before. Can you see these outer edges here? We've got our loose stems around the outer edge. But if you look right here in the middle, It's very different here. It's like it's growing really, really close together. This is where our new growth is going to come out, and what we're going to eventually do is remove these loose outer stems so that we can concentrate our efforts on growing the new growth in the middle rather than these dead bits on the outside. Now I'm going to show you one last thing, and that's our spring onion. And what we're going to do with him is going to be very, very similar. This one is one that I've picked from the garden myself, and unfortunately I wasn't very gentle when I picked it, so the root system isn't on the end there. But normally when you buy a spring onion from the supermarket or from the market, you have the root system still attached, and that's perfect. Because all you need to do, the same thing as we've done with our celery and our lettuce, is we're just going to chop about 5 centimetres away from the root system. We're just going to cut that. We'll prepare that and eat that later. And we're just going to hold on to that part there. Now all we're going to do is we're going to grab a container of water. It doesn't have to be much water, just a little bit will do. And that reminds me of a mistake I once made in trying to grow this one time. And we talk about hydroponically grown lettuce, which is basically grown in water that is full of fertiliser and nutrients. But what happened is I cut off the top of the lettuce and I just left it aside and forgot to put it in the water. Well, would you believe that the leaves started to sprout anyway? Which I found quite funny. And we came up with the new term for growing lettuce called aeroponically grown lettuce. Don't know if it's accurate, probably not, but I just thought I'd like to share that one with you. So all we're going to do is we're just going to grab our stems and we're just going to leave it here in the water. And I said you don't need much water, just a little bit will do. And we're just going to leave them in there. Now with the shorter things like our spring onions, we're just going to leave poking up the side. You don't want him to be lying in the water. You want the bulb or the roots to be in the water, but you want the stem to be poking out the top. Now all we're going to do, we're going to leave these ones in there, and we're going to just wait until they start to sprout. We'll come back and we'll check on it in a few days, and we'll see how they go. Okay, confession time. We went away on a 3-week holiday, and while we were away I remembered that I forgot to plant the produce that I showed you in the first half of this video. But that's okay, because we've got plenty of other examples of what we've done in the past with store-bought produce. So come with me and I'll show you what we've done before. First thing I'm going to show you is this cos lettuce that we saved about a week ago. As you can see, had the root system on the bottom still. We cut off what we were going to use, and as you can see, in just a week it amazed us how quickly this cos lettuce grew back. You can see you got about 5 or 6 centimetres of new growth on that. This is one that we had done earlier from store-bought produce. Some nice lettuces here. We got 3 in here. These 2 ones are still producing. This one here is a little bit older, has gone to seed, but that's okay. We'll probably keep those seeds for the next time we're going to plant them. While I think of it, it's important to mention that if you're going to grow from store-bought produce, it's not enough just to leave it sitting in water. As you can see, it will grow, but if you want the tastier produce, if you want it to do a lot better than what it will just in water, you really need to plant it in some kind of growing medium. What we've got here is just a bit of potting mix, and that has worked really, really well for our lettuces. The next one I'm going to show you in our greenhouse frame here is the celery that we planted. Now remember I said in the first half of this video that when the middle starts to sprout out, you peel away those outer bits of celery and pot that as well. If you come in a little bit closer, I'll show you this one. This is a good example of how it's grown but hasn't done too well. All these parts are still edible. You can see the celery stalks that are coming out. You have the celery leaves there as well. You can eat those too, although they can be a little bit bitter. One thing I want to mention about this one is that if you're going to start growing store-bought produce at home, you also have to take into account that everything that you grow is going to have a growing season. If you start growing store-bought produce at home and it's not the right season for that, then that produce may still grow, but it's not going to grow as well as if you planted it in the right season for that produce. Now while I'm here, let me just take a quick opportunity to show you our abundant herb garden. I'm not going to go too much into it now because I want to keep some of this for another video, But just while I'm planting these spring onions, I just wanted to show you this as well. We started this herb garden about 2 months ago. When we started this garden, a lot of these herbs, except for the mint and the Vietnamese mint, were kind of small. When we planted this, we planted it in a nice thick layer of compost with some sugarcane mulch over the top. And it just came to life and surprised us how much this had grown in the short time that we were away. Kind of confirms our philosophy of gardening, that if you steward your plants well, they're going to do so much better. And what I mean by that is, if you only give them the right conditions to grow, you're putting them in the condition where they're going to thrive at what they were designed and what they were created to do. Now, I also want to show you these spring onions. Come in closer and have a look at these. You'll be amazed. It was just over a week ago that we prepared these ones to eat. We cut them at the top of the white stem there, put them in a glass of water, and just over a week ago, look how much they've grown since then. Absolutely amazing. Good thing about spring onions is that they're so easy to grow. Anyone can grow them. You can put them in any kind of growing medium and they're going to give you a little bit anyway. These ones grew that much just in water, but as I said earlier, if you want them to do really, really well, plant them in some kind of medium. If you come in a little bit closer here, you can see ones that we had done quite some time ago. Look how tall and green, how dark green these ones are. Some of them have even gone to seed, and that's okay. Like lettuces, these are cut and come again. So the more you trim them, the more you take of them, the more they're going to give you. So what I'm going to do with these ones is, I'm going to plant them in our herb garden. The other great thing about spring onions is, and any kind of onion, any kind of garlic, they're a natural pest repellent. So you plant them in your garden, and if you plant them next to something that is susceptible to be eaten by pests like your cabbages, your cauliflower, these plants help to deter those pests away from those plants. So this is what we call companion planting. You're going to plant what you have in amongst other things like what we have here in this herb garden. And if you do it well, even experiment with it a little bit, if you do it well, then you're going to find that you're going to have much healthier produce as the plants thrive in their own little community together. Thank you so much for taking the time out to check out this video. I hope that you feel really encouraged that you can grow beautiful, tasty produce in the stuff that you've bought at the store. It doesn't cost you anything extra apart from your grocery budget. Maybe a bit of potting mix to grow your produce in. It's really that easy, and anybody can do it. Thank you so much again for watching this video. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.